guys, today guys, girls, lesbian and more, my friends. Today I'm going to show you how to render interior stuff with Arnold renders. I'm using a Linux kernel. In this case I'm using a Linux, so I show you I'm using Stella OS, which is a variant of Zen OS 6.4 with kernel 3.5 and a CPU Core i7 2000 the reason that I use 3.5 kernel, not because it is fast, but because if you have a Wacom bamboo, touch bamboo Cintiq or whatever, without kernel 3.5, no matter whatever driver you download from sourceport.net or whatever, it might not work perfectly. You have to do a lot of tweak. But with 3.5, you just install the kernel and everything works perfectly fine with a minimal right mouse and a pressure sensitivity. Also, it is recommended that you install kernel first before you install NVIDIA driver. I'm using NVIDIA Quadro driver, Quadro Fermi 600. If you install NVIDIA driver before you install the kernel, you will have kernel panic and your system will not be booted. So it is important for you to install a kernel driver first before you install that. You can download the DUK whatever from Intel stuff. It supports only HP CPU specifically. I don't recommend that if you are using a clone system like me. So now let's cut the crap out. Let's go on to Arnold render. If I have a lot of view, I will show you how to install Arnold render on Linux. In fact, I have my 2011, 2012, 2013 all installed with Arnold render, and also I have the 7 haircut as well. Trust me one thing, Arnold render is very fast and very good with fur. However, I compared with my Mentor 2014 in rendering this stuff, this house stuff, plus V-Ray and also plus this one. I don't quite like the speed of Arnold render. It's very grainy, or what we call a firefly effects. I have to increase a lot of AA sample just to compensate for that, and the render time shoot up to like more than 1 hour, while Mentor take only 10 minutes and V-Ray takes somewhere around that. Of course, Mentor need to do a lot of tweak, especially with the new unified sampler here. It produces quite good result as well, and it's a very minimum amount of time, but you need to do a lot of tweaking just to get Mentor to work properly, not like V-Ray. V-Ray, you have the material and tweak just a little bit, off you go. However, V-Ray is also grainy. You need a lot of good render file. You have a small, if you are working alone at home, I think 2 Intel Xeon would be enough for that. For me, I'm not a heavy renderer or anything. I use it for learning purpose and also a little bit of cell improvement, but at work I have everything done already. So now let's cut the crap and start putting everything in. This is how that I download from somewhere, I don't know. I just open this up a little bit. Let me open this a little bit more. I want the lines to come in from this and this. So first thing that I need to do is I need to clear everything, and then I go to oh la la, I have like what, I don't render anything here. Oh, it's the sorry, the turtle. This finished. I don't have actually it's from Windows stuff that I don't want to delete it. I don't have that, but they do have this kind of plugin for Linux as well, but I don't have it. I do have Airflow. I haven't loaded the plugin. Lip service as well. And 7 haircut, I do have it. And it's like, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, now let's cut the crap and come to Arnold. So we close all the tab. Oops, Mentor Arnold. First thing first, I need to put in Arnold standard shader, and then apply to them all. Right. You might be using okay, I create a camera just with that. Oh no, I have one camera, so I go to camera once. Here's, I think it has some animation in there. No, it doesn't have. Okay, I so the cameras. I have camera once. Here's, and where's the camera 2? Oh no, not the shape. This great. What about all of this? What is this? This would go into that. well. I delete camera 2s. Okay, when you are rendering interior stuff, the first thing that you think out of your mind, if you are using V-Ray or Mental Ray, you tend to create kind of global illumination and find out things to start this. But with Arnold, you also have global illumination, which is a sky dome light. If you touch that, you see, and I need to change the camera a little bit to, no, my camera is only small, so I change it to 10s here. If you come to this and you start render with Arnold, I don't do any jump start, so let's do it all together. However, before I render, I need to make sure that in my Arnold system, I change the gamma corrections to 1 because I'm working in linear space. And then in the render view, I right click, go to options, and color management, I choose linear and display as RGB. This will be correctly displayed, and the color space will be exactly the same as the color space of your eye. I mean, your eye, yeah. If you put it into nukes, or if you put it into other compositing application, the color look a little bit darker. But if you switch, but when you change it to linears, the color space will be exactly the same, because the cameras, JPEG, TIFF, file are all what we call sRGB file. Okay, right. Now let's try to render that with Arnold render camera. Camera 1, you will see that. However, if you look, it's very grainy, and look at this object. I don't exactly know why it's become like that, but it tends to be like too bright. It tends to have a lot of bound lights with that, so let me go and check its face normal, if it has a face normal pointing out. Face normal, yeah, everything is fine with face normal pointing out. But why it's yeah, everything is fine, but I don't know why that one is so bright. So now if we are thinking of the procedure of how to render with Arnold, because in the PDF document or in the other tutorial, it is recommended that when you use Arnold render to get rid of the noise, get rid of the grainy or the firefly flex, the first thing that you have to do is to tweak all the lighting. I mean, to increase the sample of all the light, and then you increase, make sure that the light has enough sample, and then you start increasing the diffuse sample, increase it more and more, and then you start messing around with the glossy sample if your object has a little bit of glossiness in there. And after that, you need to tweak with the refraction sample. And finally, you can go to the AA sample, which is the global anti-aliasing sample, to finalize your render setting. However, there is a guide at somewhere I found said that it is recommended to have this at 12 for final render. If you sample for somewhere around 2, this one is also 2, this one is also 2. That will be fantastic for everything. But trust me, my friend, if you are using a Core i7 CPU like me, it will be a hell lot longer for you to wait. It takes very, very long depending on the complexity of your scene and also the object material that you are using. Especially if you have a lot of glass and water, that will be a nightmare for you. But if you have a Xeon CPU of E5 class series, hell no, it's very fast. So for now, I increase it to 3, and the 3 is normal, and I save this file just for comparison's sake. So all I have to do is to go to this Arnold global illumination sky, whatever. I increase the sample to 4, which is quite unusual, and then we will compare that. How grainy is it going to be? And yeah, you can see the grainy effect has been smoothed a little bit more, but don't actually know what's wrong with this object, why it's so bright, and I don't know why it's very, very bright. It's like it has some sort of I don't know. Oh, one thing with these intensities and exposure, I would recommend you to not mess with the intensity, just try with the exposure. Exposure is very good. So you compare between the two, Yep, stop it. I might push this to the level of the bitmap, so it's like 4, 8, 16. So usually 64 is the best one, but we should try 16 first. 64 seems to be the best for almost all rendering application. Renderer engine out there. I'm sorry, English is not my second language. English is my second language, and it is not my first language. I live in Cambodia, and I'm not a very good English speaker, so I hope, and I offer my apologies in advance. I hope that you won't mind me, and please don't use bad remark with that. If you know a little bit more than me, or you know more than me, or if you are an expert, please share the knowledge. I really want to learn more. I don't want to use any bad word or anything in there. So you can see here, sorry, 16. It doesn't make much difference. You can tell the grainy between the two, not much. So I came back to 4. And the second thing is that it is recommended to increase the Q sample. The Q sample is a global luminance stuff, so I go to 4, and then I start rendering. I have tested this in before, and it doesn't seem to be working very well. It's kind of, I don't know. It takes so long, and I don't know what's happened with all of this stuff, but it tends to be bouncy and stuff or anything. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. So it looks very cool. Right, yes, cool. Yeah, you can stop that. You can see. Okay, we say that. I really don't actually know what is happening with this material. Why it become like that? In fact, they are all polygonal stuff. Yeah, they are polygonal objects, and I have no idea why it's so bright. Okay, just for comparison's sake, I just maybe delete that. For the love of God, I delete it. Let's see what kind of result it will produce. Oh yeah, that's what we want. You don't mind using a little bit of thing there. Yeah, I would recommend you to start doing such a thing first. Now I save. Usually I go up until 6 and see how it's work. Make sure that everything is smooth first before you put in any textures. That's a very fast way to do it. Also, I always say it's try all the sample until you don't see any much difference or much changes, and then you can tweak the AA sample to get a final result. However, when you increase the AA sample, thing is moving very fast. It's not going to be working very well. I mean, it's worked well, but it tends to be bloated with the rendering time. It's kind of a nightmare. So now you can compare with 4 and 6. Yes, it's still grainy, but we buy that, and now I go for this one. 3, I go to 5 because I know I'm going to increase it one by one. So just let's go to 5 immediately. And bear in mind that this resolution is only 640 by 3 plus whatever. It's a very low resolution, lower than YouTube channel. So if it take like this, it would be. We have to think about that. I do believe there are a lot of people who are doing architectural rendering or architectural pre-visualization will not like it if one frame take around 1 hour to render. I mean, maximum is 20 minutes. That would be fantastic. If they have a render farm, a lot of render farm, then that would be okay. 20 minutes would be very good if it was everything. But if it goes to like 1 hour for one frame, then that's going to be a nightmare. As you can see here, you do not have any texture yet, but it's take very long time to render. Plus, a lot of people said that Linux is faster than Windows. It is fast in terms of RAM management and everything. Also, the rendering time is a little bit faster. Not much, but just a few percent faster because of the fact that Windows taking a lot of resources from RAM, from VGA and CPU stuff. So Windows is a closed application for God's sake, and Linux is an open application, so an open OS. So that tends to be a little bit of different between them. You can see here it smooths the noise, so I go for final 8 and 8, which is the final one. Also, one thing you have to bear in mind that if you have a texture file, you need to make sure that you use the .tx file. I will show you how to convert the file from JPEG into the .tx PSD file into .tx file. .tx file is the file for Arnold render, much like Mentoray, the .map file. If you have all these files, it will be rendering faster. Also, if you have a lot of RAM, just try to increase a lot of RAM in there. So I have like 32 gig of RAM, so I need to put in like 8192. So oops, 8192. So the scene would be reading faster. So now I do the final render with this one. I hope everything is smoothing, but the guy at another studio recommended that if I want it to be smoother, I need to increase it to 12, which is a final resolution for rendering, and everything should keep at this one at maximum plus 6. 8 would be overkill. So it's like, I think these two work in comparison, but junction together. It's like for me personally, I would say the Q sample is equal half of the AA sample. A lot of people would make it the same, like 4466, but I don't see much difference between them. So now let's put this thing there, and this one I don't have any glossy effect yet, so I turn them off. So ray trace, yes, for sure we go for the ray tracing. I save the file, I push the render, and then I will pause the video to show you guys. Well, my friend, after a long hour of rendering, you can see it's kind of smooth, but it moves kind of weird. So I would stop the rendering for now, and we take a look. After 12 minutes 3 seconds for a resolution of only 640 by 4080, it takes like forever to render. So I can wait for that for a long time, but I don't want to wait. Wow, it takes so long. It's smooth, yes, but 12 minutes, that would be unusual for 640. So it's depend on whether you like it or not. So now I try this with my inventory because I don't have V-Rays in here. So let's try that with of course I need to kill this one, and I change my render to mental ray. Right, I will do the same with that, and I need to kill the render option. Yes, the quality I push to the maximum level. I will go for mature as well, and indirect lighting I will do physical sunlight, just as I do with that. The lighting is like that. That will be fantastic. And then I will apply a Lambert shader. So everything at high resolution, totally high resolution here for production level, and let's push the final gather to 300 at the maximum. Okay, and let's this one. Wow, I don't know. I'm not a fan of mental ray, no a fan of V-Ray, no a fan of Arnold render, Maxwell render, or anything. But trust me, my friend, those are just the tool. The most important thing is whether you have the ability to produce a very good result or not, because your client will give you a shit if you cannot produce a good result. They don't care whether you are using V-Ray, mental ray, Arnold render, or anything. They don't care about those shit as long as you can produce a very good result. Of course, there are some clients who are specifically picky about even the OS, the 3D application, also the rendering, because they have their own pipeline to fit those in. And a lot of people have been fighting over 3D Max, Maya, Sublime, Blender or whatever. Use whatever that is familiar with you. Use whatever you feel at ease or comfortable with, and you can produce the result that your client want, because the client is the money, the OS is the OS. Use whatever you actually want. Of course, if you are a Mac user, you are stuck with Windows for the rest of your life. And Autodesk is a badass company. Autodesk is a bullshit company. It just buy thing in. It never improve it much. It never improves much, and that is worrisome. 3D Max doesn't have much update over the last few years. 3D Max 2014 has seen some good result with the whatever animation stuff, and Maya's just by like what the new topology tool. Yeah, nothing improved much. The dynamic system is dead. Of course, you can use some tweaking, a lot more. Of course, Maya is more popular in terms of rigging and animation because of good flexibility. A lot of people know about that. That is one good point about it. And Sublime seems to be everything. And Houdini is the best visual effect software ever, without any plugin, if you know it well. So whatever you use, my friends, just make sure that you can make your client satisfied, and that's the money. You have the money, you become a somebody. You don't have the money, you are nobody. So I will pause the video since it is doing its magic here, and see you in a moment. Here you go, my friend, and now you can see the comparison between the two. This render time is only 8 minutes 34 seconds, and it's rendered at a skyline of like 12 o'clock daylight, versus this one it's already 12. I'm not talking about the qualities of rendering, because as long as you know the render engine that you are working with, you can produce the same result. But I'm talking about the rendering time. This one is just a flat shader, without flat gray shader, without any texture yet, and it took very long time for Arnold to render, which is a brute force render. I'm not saying Arnold is not a good renderer. It is a very good renderer. It is being popular among many major studios as well. Well, if you are a home user, you have to be smart about whatever rendering you are using, because over there in those studios they have like tons of computer CPU to render stuff. While we at home we have only 1 or 2, maybe maximum 5 to make a render fine. So you can either use Arnold render, V-Ray, Arnold render which is a brute force render, Mentor Ray if you are a Mentor Ray user, and also V-Ray if you are a V-Ray user. I would use Mentor Ray for most of the work that I'm doing, especially for animation. Arnold is also good for animation as well. I choose it as well because it's render faster. It has a new cool tool as well to render with. And I do believe that Arnold will develop further and will be faster than it is currently is. And also V-Ray render is also very good. A lot of people have produced a very good result with it. And also the good thing about V-Ray render is that if you are using Windows, it is easier to set up a render farm. If you have a lot of computer CPU, you just plug them in, pass in the Ethernet address, pass in the IP's address, and it will render faster. Well, Mentor Ray is dead, which the 8 licensed CPU of Mentor Ray. That sucked, man. That sucked with Mentor Ray. That's the thing that I don't like about Mentor Ray. However, I use only this computer at home, so no render farm, so that would be fine. So now it's up to you folks to decide whether you stick with Mentor Ray, existing one of Maya or 3ds Max, or you go for V-Ray, or you go for Arnold render. If you don't mind the time spending on Arnold render, then go for it. But if you have a tons of CPU, I would suggest you try something new like Arnold render or V-Ray if you love it. Okay, if you have any further questions, you can ask me about it. Or if you guys really want to know how to install Arnold render on Linux, or how to use 7.5 cuts on Linux, then please post a lot of comments, because I'm not going to do it for free forever. I'm happy to do it free as long as you guys like it. A lot of people comment about it. Then I will do it. If there is no more comment, then what is the point of doing it and posting it? It's a waste of my time. I would rather take this time to do something else. So I hope you guys like it and enjoy. Have your day.